So it's community-led growth is what we're talking about today. What are some of the learnings regarding really building and sustaining the community that you have all these years later?
Definitely. So the first thing, honestly, is understand your values. Great companies, great communities, great relationships, whether personal or professional, are built on great alignment. If you don't have alignment going in, it's going to be hard to sustain. And so to build a community-led business, you need to understand what are the values of a community-led business. It's all around the joys of giving. And
Mm-hmm.
if you distill that down, as I talked to hundreds and hundreds of companies and thousands of leaders, I found 6 very common values. I call them camper, or the camper framework. If you have camper in your company, you will have happy campers. Camper in your community, you'll have happy campers. C stands for connection. You're creating connection amongst people. A is
Mm-hmm.
autonomy. You don't want to micromanage people. When people have the autonomy, they take charge and build the damn thing. M is mastery. People want to get better and better at what they're doing and not just be stuck like they're some volunteer or typecast in a role like a
Yeah,
slave
so
just pushing
true.
paper. P is purpose. In 2023, where even if people have lost jobs, they can do consulting and become solopreneurs and content creators. What ties them to your company? It's providing a purpose that's greater than your product or profit. So having this great sense of purpose. E is energy, building anything sustaining long term. And look at all these iconic brands. They're built on energy. Without energy, people just drain out eventually, right? And the
Right.
last one is recognition. When you proactively value people and recognize them for the littlest things, they keep coming back for more. People are not robots. If you proactively go and say, thank you, I really appreciate it, you did a good job, they keep coming back for more. So connection, autonomy, mastery,
It's
purpose,
wonderful.
energy, and recognition. So those are the values. I'm not saying just have these values. You may have other values, but having these 6 are essential to building a community-led business. The next thing is figure out your ideal customer profile. And we talked
Mm-hmm.
about that at
Right.
length. Then it's determine the kind of community you want to build. There's 3 kinds of communities. One is a community of practice, meaning bringing people together to learn about a specific skill or a craft. Like Boast, we didn't call our community the Boast community. We called it Traction. There's a big reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Traction is the aspiration of every entrepreneur. If we called it the Boast community, people would think they're coming to a timeshare presentation, because think about it. When we started doing these community events, we had no customers, we had no product, so we didn't have product market fit. So the first kind of community is a community of practice, bringing people together to learn about a specific skill or a craft. Next is a community of product, like the Microsoft community or the Notion community, where you bring people together to learn about your product, get better at your product, build on your product, earn from your product. It's all about your product. The issue is, if you don't have a product that's used frequently, if you don't have product market fit, or you have no customers, how are you going to build a community of product? People will literally think you're inviting them to a timeshare presentation. So
Right.
don't do that. So we
Right.
were in that first bucket. And the last one is a community of play, bringing people together to have fun, like your golf club or your paddle club or your Harley Davidson's rider club, right? So those are the things you want to do. Is what kind of community I want to build? A community of play, or community of product, community of practice. So for us, it was a community of practice with a sub element of community of play, bring people together to have fun. And then, like I outlined, I think through our example, is create an audience through content. You can either be a curator, meaning summarize content from experts for your niche, or be the expert for your niche, or do a mix. Like, I think what you need to do is, in your exercise of understanding your ideal customer profile, write down 100 burning questions that your audience has, so you have a repository of ideas. And so if you had to write the ultimate guide to do XYZ, what would be the chapters, the sub chapters, and topics it would include?
Yeah, that's great.
And then now you are creating an audience through content, and then figure out one channel where you can predominantly distribute on. I'm not saying, don't put it on podcasts, don't put it on YouTube, don't put it on LinkedIn. Take
But
one piece
just,
of content
yeah, and slice it and
and,
dice it from there.
yeah, slice it and dice it on multiple formats and distribute it. But pick one platform where your customers predominantly hang out, and go deep there. It's better to be an inch wide and a mile deep. So yes, have your YouTube, but if your customers don't hang out on YouTube, then you don't want to spend the most effort there. Spend the most effort where you go deep and provide the most value on the channel where your audience hangs out on the most. And then as you're building that audience now, bring them together. And I'm not saying host one big conference a year. I'm saying, can you do something sustainably over time where there's a cadence? It can be
They
a
become to
pizza meetup.
expect it at that stage.
Yeah, it becomes like a ritual. We'll do a weekly pizza meetup, or we'll do some retreat every month. That kind of thing, which is low cost, low energy, but people just want to come for the camaraderie and the fun and the learning.
Mhm.
And when you do those two things consistently, build an audience through online content, and then bring that audience together through a combination of chat interactions and in-person interactions, it starts to become a community. Now, taking that one step further, if you give that community a great purpose and align people to come together to solve for that purpose, it'll start to become a movement. That's what Harley Davidson did, right? I mean, in the 80s, this company almost went bankrupt, and they rebuilt the company on the ethos of community. The management said, let's go out there and create rider clubs. Employees became riders, riders became employees, and they created these rituals around coming together to ride together, the joys of riding, the brotherhood of bikers. And then they turned into movement by coming together to donate and rally for causes like breast cancer and autism. Today, you can recognize a Harley fan, even by just what they're wearing. Even if you see a dog wearing a leather jacket, you're like, oh, that's a Harley Davidson puppy or a dog.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing talks for my book and going to conferences, I literally wear knee-high boots and a leather jacket, and I walk on stage, and literally everyone on the way, even the security guard, will ask me, hey, what kind of Harley Davidson do you have?
Where's your
What kind of
bike?
Where's your bike?
Yeah.
And that tells you what an iconic brand is. It's the power of audiences that turn into communities that come together to create movements, and over time, through sustained rituals, become cult-like brands.